My name is Chloe, and today is my 29th birthday. I woke up this morning and let myself hold onto a sliver of hope. Maybe this year would be different. Maybe there'd be a happy birthday text waiting. Instead, I found something that gutted me on social media. A photo album from last night showing my entire family at a lavish surprise party. For my sister, Mia, the caption said it all. For the only one who truly deserves to be celebrated. I left a comment. Great looking cake. My mother's reply came minutes later. Well, at least someone is worth the effort of baking for. I felt a strange smile spread across my face. I replied, enjoy it while you can. Before I tell you what happened next, I'd love to know where you're watching from, and if you've ever felt like a ghost in your own family, hit that like and subscribe button. Because believe me, the story of what I did that night will show you exactly how to reclaim your own story. That Facebook post might seem shocking, but for me, it was just business as usual. It was the culmination of a lifetime of being treated like a supporting character in my own family. Growing up, the roles were crystal clear. I was the responsible one. Mia, 4 years younger than me, was the star of the show. She could breathe and get a round of applause, while my actual accomplishments were treated like footnotes. I can still vividly remember my 10th birthday. All I wanted was a small party with a few friends from school. We're talking pizza and some games in the backyard, nothing fancy. The day before my party, Mia had a sudden whim. She decided she absolutely had to join the competitive gymnastics team. Just like that, the money set aside for my birthday became her new registration fee. We can do your party next weekend, my mom promised. That next weekend never materialized. When our parents divorced, I was 13 and Mia was 9. The split was a bomb that went off in our lives, scattering shrapnel everywhere. Dad moved to an apartment across town, and his promises of weekend visits slowly faded to once a month, then to just holidays. Mom sank into a deep depression, and I was the one left to keep the ship from sinking. I learned to cook, I helped Mia with her homework, and I'd stack the bills on the kitchen counter where Mom couldn't miss them. Mia's reaction was the opposite. She became a tornado of defiance, skipping classes, slamming doors, and screaming at me that the divorce was my fault for not trying hard enough to keep them together. Instead of discipline, Mom would wrap her in hugs and buy her things, as if a new toy could patch the hole in our family. Your sister is just more sensitive, Mom would say whenever I dare to question the blatant double standard. You're the strong one, Chloe. You can handle it. By the time I was 17, I had a perfect GPA. I was co-captain of the school debate team, and I was working every weekend at a local bookstore to save money for college. I remember the pride I felt when I was nominated for valedictorian. The awards ceremony was on a Thursday night. It was the same night as one of Mia's preliminary soccer matches. Not a single person from my family showed up for me. That night, they all came home with celebratory milkshakes because Mia had assisted one goal in a game their team ultimately lost. We're proud of you too, Chloe, of course, Dad said when I called him to share my news. But you know how it is. Your sister just needs the validation more than you do. College was my great escape. I'd earned a decent scholarship, but I still had to work 2 part-time jobs to make up the difference. Mom would call me once a week, but the conversation always spiraled back to whatever drama Mia was involved in. When Mia finally graduated high school with a barely passing average, my parents threw her a massive party that probably cost more than all my textbooks for an entire year. I was genuinely hopeful when Mia decided to go to community college. I thought finally some structure might force her to grow up, but 6 months in, she dropped out. It was too demanding, she said. By that point, I had graduated with honors and had just started a junior position at a small marketing agency. I wasn't making a lot, but it was enough to rent a tiny apartment and start chipping away at my mountain of student loan debt. Then the inevitable call came from Mia. She needed money for a security deposit and first month's rent on a new apartment. It's just until I figure out my real passion, she'd explained. I knew it was a bad idea, but I sent her the money. My mom called me the next day to thank me. It's so good to see you finally stepping up to help your sister, she said. What she didn't know, what none of them knew, was that the helping never stopped. For the last 2 years, I've been secretly paying a huge chunk of Mia's rent every single month. Not because she asked me directly, but because her landlord had called me when she was on the verge of eviction. Instead of letting her get thrown out, I arranged to make direct, automatic payments to the property management company. I never said a word to my family, and Mia certainly never brought it up. In fact, at family dinners, she would complain about how hard it was to make ends meet, and I would just sit there, silent. Last Christmas, Mia proudly announced she'd gotten a big promotion at the boutique where she worked. The whole family toasted to her success. Later that night, I overheard her telling Mom she'd actually been fired weeks ago but didn't want to spoil the holidays. I didn't say a word. I didn't say a word about the extra cash I had to send her a few days later when she texted me in a panic, claiming her power was about to be cut off. My 28th birthday came and went with a single text from Mom, "Happy B-Day, taking Mia out to buy an outfit for her job interviews. Talk later." She never called. I spent my birthday alone with a pizza and a movie, telling myself it didn't matter. About a month ago, Dad called. He asked if I could chip in for a special family surprise they were organizing. He was vague on the details, just saying it was something really important for the family. I sent him $500, assuming it had to be for Mom's upcoming 60th birthday. I even blocked off the whole month on my calendar, wanting to make sure I was free for whatever they had in mind. And now, staring at those pictures on Facebook, I finally understood what that special surprise was. It was a party for Mia, held on the eve of my birthday. This morning, I woke up at 6:30, just like any other workday. But it wasn't any other day. It was my 29th birthday. I stayed in bed for an extra 10 minutes, just letting that little flicker of hope burn. Maybe today would be the day. A text from Mom, a call from Dad. Hell, even Mia might remember, if only because Facebook would send her a notification. I checked my phone. 3 new messages. One was from my boss, wishing me a happy birthday and telling me there was a card on my desk. One was from my best friend from college, who never, ever forgot. And the last one was an automated text from my dentist, reminding me of a cleaning I had next week. Nothing from my family. "It's still early," I muttered to myself as I got ready for work. By the time I got to my desk, a few more birthday wishes had trickled in on my Instagram from friends and acquaintances. Still radio silent from my family. I dove into my work, trying to convince myself it didn't sting. I was 29, not 9. Birthdays weren't supposed to be a big deal anymore. It was during my lunch break that I finally gave in and opened Facebook, and that's when I saw it. An album of 32 photos, posted by my cousin Jenna at 11:30 the night before. Surprise party for the one and only Mia. Family is everything. I scrolled through the pictures, a cold sense of dread washing over me. There was my mother, her face glowing with pride, carrying a custom-designed cake with "Mia is our superstar" written in shimmering gold icing. There was my father, who had told me he was too swamped with a project to visit this month, with his arm slung around Mia as she opened a velvet jewelry box, the look of pure shock on her face as she pulled out a delicate designer necklace. There was my Aunt Carol, who lives 4 states away and had missed my college graduation because, as she'd put it, travel is just too taxing these days. My Uncle Robert and his wife, who I hadn't laid eyes on in almost 3 years. Even my grandmother, who needs a walker to get around, had made the trip. The location was my childhood home, where my mom still lives. The same house where I had my quiet little birthdays with store-bought cakes and practical gifts like new binders for school. The same house I'd helped take care of, spending one summer repainting the entire kitchen and my college breaks, fixing the perpetually leaking sink because we just can't afford a plumber right now, Chloe. The more I scrolled, the more the details twisted the knife. Balloons in Mia's favorite shade of teal, a whole table overflowing with beautifully wrapped presents, a huge banner hanging over the fireplace that read, "We are so incredibly proud of you." Right where my debate team trophies used to sit before they were moved into a storage box to reduce clutter. The very last photo was of Mia and my mom, clinking champagne glasses together. The caption read, "Celebrating the only one who deserves it. So proud of our girl for landing her dream job interview. Proud family, the best daughter." The timestamp on the post was 11:58 p.m., 2 minutes before my birthday officially began. I put my phone down on my desk, my lunch completely forgotten. My coworker, Sarah, noticed my face and asked if I was okay. I just nodded, forced a smile, and excused myself to the restroom. I stood there, splashing cold water on my face, taking one deep breath after another. It wasn't just that they'd forgotten my birthday. They had actively, consciously chosen to throw an extravagant party for my sister the night before. For a job interview. Not a job, an interview. And I had helped organize Mia's elaborate 25th birthday party just last year, coordinating with all these same relatives, collecting money for her big gift. A weekend getaway to Austin she'd been dropping hints about for months. I went back to my desk and moved through the rest of the day like a robot. My boss brought me a cupcake with a candle in it, along with the card signed by the whole team. I thanked her, my voice thick with an appreciation she couldn't possibly understand. That small act of kindness felt like a life raft. On my way home, I picked up some Indian food, my small, solitary birthday tradition. The apartment was as quiet and empty as I'd left it. No surprise guests, no cards in the mail. I sat on my couch eating my curry straight from the container, and I pulled up the Facebook photos again. I couldn't stop myself. That cake was from the expensive downtown bakery my mom always claimed was ridiculously overpriced. The jewelry box was from a high-end department store. The champagne was the vintage brand my dad only broke out for major celebrations. And then I saw it. In the background of one of the photos, almost out of frame, was a gift bag from a major tech store. Peeking out from the top was the corner of a brand new laptop box. The exact same model I had been researching for months. The one I'd mentioned wanting when my old one started to die. The one I was waiting for a work bonus to be able to afford. I pushed my food away. I wasn't hungry anymore. The full weight of the betrayal was suffocating. This wasn't an oversight. It wasn't just them being forgetful. This was a statement. I knew what would happen tomorrow. A belated text would come. Maybe a quick, distracted phone call. Mom might offer to take me out for lunch next week if Mia didn't need her for something. Dad would probably send his standard e-gift card with a generic message. And they would expect me to take these scraps and be grateful, just like I always had. But something inside me had finally snapped. Sitting there, alone in my apartment on my 29th birthday, I knew I was done eating crumbs. I stared at my phone for what felt like an hour, typing and deleting comments. The angry ones felt too raw, like I was showing them exactly where it hurt. The passive-aggressive ones just felt petty and small, and a sad, honest comment would just make me look weak. Finally, I typed out 2 simple words. Great cake. It was neutral. It could be taken as sincere. Only I would know the mountain of pain sitting behind it. I hit post and put my phone down, vowing not to look. Less than 5 minutes later, I was refreshing the page. The first reply was from my aunt. It was divine. Mia deserves nothing but the best. Then my cousin Jenna replied, "We missed you." But it was such a perfect night for our perfect Mia. I couldn't help but notice that neither of them mentioned my birthday or asked why I wasn't there. It was a familiar sting. And then came my mother's reply, the one that shattered everything. Well, at least someone is worth the effort of baking for. I read those words over and over. 10 words that neatly summarized what I had suspected my entire life. In my mother's world, I wasn't worth the effort. I wasn't worth celebrating. I wasn't worth loving in the same way she loved Mia. The comments kept coming. My uncle added a laughing emoji. A family friend wrote, "Your sister is such a rising star." Another cousin tagged Mia, asking for an update on the job. Then Mia herself replied directly to my comment. "Aw, sorry, sis. Guess Mom just loves me more, Lowell. Maybe next year you'll do something worth celebrating too." The casual, brutal cruelty of it knocked the wind out of me. The LOL, as if her words weren't a dagger she was twisting in my chest. The implication that my life, my degree, my career, my independence wasn't worth celebrating. all while I was secretly keeping her afloat. My fingers trembled over the keyboard. This was the point where I was supposed to swallow my hurt, make an excuse for them, and laugh it off to avoid a scene. Not this time. I typed, "Enjoy it while you can." 4 words, a little mysterious, but I knew exactly what they meant, even if my family would just see it as a bitter comment from the jealous older sister. My phone rang almost immediately. It was my cousin Jenna, the one who posted the album. Her tone was hesitant. "Hey, Chloe, happy birthday." "You remembered," I said, unable to hide the surprise in my voice. "Of course I did. Listen, about last night." "I feel awful you weren't there." "Why was there a party last night, Jenna?" I asked, my voice flat. Jenna paused. "Your mom." She said Mia was really nervous about this huge interview and needed a major confidence boost. She said we all needed to rally and show her how much we support her. Another pause. "I did ask where you were. Your mom just said you've been too swamped with work to make it to family things lately." The lie was sharp and clean. I hadn't been invited to a family gathering in months, even though I was always the one asking when we could all get together. "I sent money for that party," I said quietly. "Dad called it a special family surprise. I thought it was for Mom's birthday next month." "Oh my God, Chloe. I had no idea," Jenna said, sounding genuinely horrified. "That is so messed up." After we hung up, a text from my father came through. "Happy birthday, kiddo. Sorry I can't call. Crazy busy day. Taking Mia out for interview clothes. Dinner soon?" No mention of the party. No acknowledgement that he had been in my city and never even tried to see me. Just another empty promise of a soon that would never come. I put my phone face down on the table and finally let myself cry. It wasn't quiet, graceful crying. It was ugly, gut-wrenching sobs that had been building up for 29 years. I cried for the little girl whose birthday was canceled, for the teenager who accepted her awards alone, for the adult who just kept giving and giving to a family that did nothing but take. When the tears finally stopped, I felt empty. But I also felt a strange, cold clarity, like a fever had finally broken. I remembered all the other moments, the little cuts that led to this gaping wound, the public comparisons at holiday dinners. "Why can't you be more laid back like your sister?" The dismissals. "Mia is just more fun to be around." The excuses. "Your sister just needs more of our support than you do." That was their constant refrain, their justification for the endless imbalance. And I had spent my entire life swallowing it, internalizing the idea that my role was to give, to understand, and to forgive, to be the strong one who didn't need anything. I picked up my phone and looked at the Facebook thread again. My mother's 10 words. Well, at least someone is worth the effort of baking for. Something inside me hardened into steel. I was done being the strong one. I was done being the understanding one. I was done being invisible. Enjoy it while you can. It wasn't just a comment anymore, it was a promise. Sitting on my couch amidst the remains of my sad little birthday dinner, I opened my laptop and pulled up a spreadsheet I'd been secretly keeping for years. Every single transfer to Mia, every bill I'd covered, every loan that was never spoken of again, 2 years of rent subsidies, 6 months of utility bills when her roommate supposedly bailed on her, 4 car payments when she was about to lose her car, the entire security deposit for her current apartment. The grand total stared back at me, $19,578. Money that could have paid off half my student loans, money that could have been a down payment on my own place, money that had vanished into the black hole of Mia's manufactured crises while she was being paraded around as the family's shining jewel. I opened my email and searched for messages I had saved. "Just need a little help this month. Things are slow at work. I swear I'll pay you back when my next commission check comes in. Don't tell Mom and Dad, they'll just freak out." Then I opened a folder I'd created for emails from her work account, which I had helped her set up and still had access to. Emails she had no idea I could see. formal warnings about her constant tardiness, concerns about her negative attitude toward customers. And then, the final one, a termination notice dated 3 months ago, citing inconsistent performance and general unreliability. 3 months. She'd been unemployed for 3 whole months while lying to everyone that she'd been promoted. She was living off my money, my support, while our parents were planning a party to celebrate a completely fake job interview. I logged into my bank account next. The automatic payment to Mia's landlord was scheduled to go out in 5 days, $900, sent directly to the property management company because I'd learned early on that I couldn't trust Mia to use the money for what it was meant for. I kept digging. A quick search of my email archives brought up the contact info for her landlord, Mr. Gable. I had his direct line saved from when I'd first negotiated the payment arrangement to stop her eviction 2 years ago, and I found something else. A final disconnection notice from the power company, accidentally forwarded to my email address instead of Mia's. The outstanding balance was over $700, even though I'd sent her money specifically for that bill just last month. It all clicked into place with a sickening thud. She hadn't been using my money for her bills at all. She'd been spending it on who knows what, letting the debts pile up, fully confident that I would swoop in and save her before the lights went out. She was fired, but she kept up the act, living off my dime while soaking up the sympathy and praise from our parents. The party was just the latest, most painful reward for her deception. I took a deep breath and made 3 quick decisions. First, I logged back into my bank account and canceled the automatic transfer to Mr. Gable. The next payment was due in 5 days. It wasn't going to happen. Second, I drafted an email to her landlord. Dear Mr. Gable, this email is to inform you that, effective immediately, I will no longer be providing any financial assistance or making payments toward Mia Walker's rent for the property at 123 Oak Street. This arrangement is now terminated. Please direct all future communications regarding rent payments to Mia directly. Sincerely, Chloe Walker. I hit send before I could second-guess myself. The third decision was the hardest. I gathered all the evidence, the bank statements showing my transfers, the emails proving Mia's termination, the utility notice, screenshots of the Facebook party, and the cruel comments. I compiled it all into one undeniable PDF file. Then I composed a new email addressed to my parents with Mia copied. Mom, Dad, and Mia. For years, I have supported this family, both financially and emotionally, with little to no recognition. I have stayed silent while you celebrated Mia and ignored my own life. I have sent nearly $20,000 to keep Mia comfortable, while she has been lying to all of us about her job and her finances. That ends today. Effective immediately, I have canceled all financial support for Mia. I have already informed her landlord. The attached file provides all the necessary evidence of my contributions and Mia's deception. I am stepping back from this dynamic to focus on my own life and well-being. Please respect my decision. Chloe. My finger hovered over the send button. This was the point of no return. There would be screaming, denial, guilt trips. They would paint me as the villain, the jealous, cruel sister. But for the first time in my entire life, I didn't care what they thought. I hit send, I shut my laptop, I turned my phone completely off. Whatever was coming, it couldn't reach me tonight. Tonight, I was going to sleep with the knowledge that I had finally stood up for myself. And tomorrow, I would start living my life without the weight of being the family doormat. As I got ready for bed, I felt something I hadn't expected. Profound relief. The crushing weight of 2 decades of resentment just lifted, replaced by a feeling of open space. My 29th year on this planet was going to be different. It was going to be mine. The day after I sent the emails passed in a strange, blissful silence. I left my phone off all night and through the next workday, pouring all my energy into a big presentation I'd been working on. My colleagues noticed the change. "You seem different today, Chloe," my boss said with an approving smile. I was different. For the first time I could remember, my brain wasn't split between my own responsibilities and whatever fire I needed to put out for Mia. I felt lighter. That evening, I finally switched my phone back on. It immediately lit up like a Christmas tree. 14 missed calls from my mother, 9 from Mia, 4 from my father, a flood of texts and emails. I ignored every single one of them, made myself dinner, and watched a movie. I slept for 8 straight hours, dreamlessly. Day 2 brought another barrage of calls and messages, each one more frantic than the last. I set up a filter on my email to divert anything from my family into a separate folder I could deal with later. I temporarily blocked their numbers, knowing I needed the space to fortify my resolve. On day 3, a flower delivery arrived at my apartment. It was from my cousin Jenna. The card read, "Happy belated birthday. You deserve to be celebrated too." It was the first birthday wish from a family member that had ever made me genuinely smile. Day 4 was when the real storm hit. Without my monthly payment, the full reality of her rent bill was bearing down on Mia. The first text came from a mutual friend's number. "What the hell, Chloe? The landlord just called me about the rent. You know I can't pay the whole thing. Whatever your problem is, don't take it out on me. You need to fix this." Now I didn't reply. By day 6, my mother had started leaving voicemails on my building's main line, which the concierge would forward to me. "Chloe Marie Walker, this pathetic childish tantrum ends now. Your sister is a wreck. You've endangered her housing because you're jealous about a birthday party? I raised you to be better than this. Call me." I saved the message but didn't call back. Day 8, my father finally made contact with an email titled, "Let's be rational. Chloe, I get that you're upset about the party. We should have been more thoughtful about the timing, but cutting Mia off like this with no warning is an extreme overreaction. Mia has always been more fragile than you know that. She needs us to support her while she gets back on her feet. Your mother is beside herself. Please call me so we can find a compromise. Dad." I typed a short, firm reply. "Dad, this isn't about a party. It's about years of lies and imbalance. Mia was fired 3 months ago and told no one. She has been misusing the money I sent her. At 25 years old, she needs to learn that actions have consequences. I'm not interested in a compromise that involves me continuing to enable her. Chloe." By day 10, the situation had escalated. They were deploying the entire extended family. Aunt Carol called my office, which led to a deeply uncomfortable conversation with our receptionist about screening my calls. Uncle Robert sent a long, rambling email about family loyalty and how blood is thicker than water. My grandmother even left a shaky voicemail telling me how disappointed she was. Mia's text became a roller coaster of desperation. The landlord says I have 5 days before he starts the eviction process. Are you seriously going to let your own sister become homeless? What kind of monster are you? An hour later, "I'm sorry about the Facebook comment, okay? It was a stupid joke, so you're always so sensitive. Just please send the money one last time, and we can talk about a plan to phase it out." When that didn't work, the tone shifted again. "Mom and Dad know everything now. How you spied on my emails and set me up. Everyone sees how you've always been jealous of me. Good luck ever being welcome at a family event again." I stayed silent, but every message was a test. The old me would have caved, apologized, and sent the money just to make it all stop. The new me saw these messages for what they were, pure manipulation, designed to put me back in my box. On day 11, my mother sent her most direct threat. "You have 24 hours to fix this with your sister's landlord and apologize to this family. If you don't, there will be consequences. Do not test me, Chloe." The vague threat, which once would have terrified me, now just felt validating. That same day, Mia's boyfriend Kyle, who I'd met maybe twice, sent me a long, misspelled message accusing me of trying to destroy Mia's mental health because I was jealous of how much everyone loves her. I blocked his number and several others, creating a digital bubble of peace. I poured myself into my work. I went out for dinner with colleagues, and I booked my first ever therapy session. A bright spot came when Jenna called to check in. I saw the email you sent them, with all the proof, she said. I had no idea you were paying her rent. Nobody did. That was kind of the point, I replied. Well, for what it's worth, I think you're doing the absolute right thing, she said. It's about damn time someone stood up to the Mia show. And I'm so sorry about your birthday. I should have known something was wrong when your mom was so insistent you couldn't make it. Her support was like a balm on a raw wound. As day 12 arrived, I knew the real explosion was imminent. Mia's rent was now officially past due. I went to work feeling strangely calm, centered, and ready. The call came at 2:17 p.m. I was in the middle of my presentation when my phone lit up with Mia's name. I declined it. 2 minutes later, it rang again, and again. After the 5th call in a row, my boss gave me a nod. Go handle it. I stepped out into the hallway and answered. What, Mia? The shriek on the other end was so shrill I had to pull the phone away from my ear. The landlord just called. He's starting the eviction process. You have to fix this right now. I can't fix this, Mia, I said, my voice steady and professional. This is the natural consequence of your choices. My choices. You're the one who chose to stop paying. You chose to ruin my life over a stupid party. You chose to lie about being unemployed for 3 months, I countered. You chose to misuse the money I sent you for bills. Those were your choices. So what? You make good money. It's not like you have a life anyway. What else are you gonna spend it on? The cruelty of that line still had the power to sting, but it couldn't break me. Goodbye, Mia. I suggest you start looking for boxes or a way to pay your rent. I hung up while she was still screaming and walked back into my meeting. 10 minutes later, my phone started vibrating non-stop. The family group chat, which had been dead for months, had erupted. Mom, Chloe, answer your phone this instant. Dad, this has gone too far. Call your sister. Aunt Carol, I am speechless that you would do this to your own flesh and blood. Uncle Robert, your grandfather would be ashamed of you. On and on it went, a digital firing squad. I muted the chat and finished my workday. At 4:30, the receptionist buzzed my extension. Chloe, your mother is down here in the lobby. She seems very upset. Security is asking if you'd like her to be escorted out. My heart hammered in my chest, but I took a breath. Tell them it's okay. I'll be right down. In the lobby, my mother was pacing like a caged animal, her face flushed red with fury. The second she saw me, she jabbed a finger in my direction. You. How dare you humiliate this family? The security guard, Frank, gave me a concerned look. I smiled at him. It's all right, Frank. This is my mother. We're just gonna step outside. Outside, I faced her. Mom, I'm at my job. This is not appropriate. Inappropriate? I'll tell you what's inappropriate. Sending private information to the whole family, trying to make your sister look bad just so you can feel important. She's going to lose her home. Mom, I said, keeping my voice low. Mia lost her job 3 months ago and lied to everyone. She was just waiting for the right time to tell us. She didn't want to worry anyone. She didn't have a problem worrying me when she needed cash, I shot back. She didn't have a problem with me knowing while she was publicly mocking me. That's just teasing. You've always been too sensitive. A colleague walked by, giving us a wide berth. I kept my composure. I can't have this conversation here. If you'd like to talk civilly, we can schedule a time. Oh, now you want to schedule a time? After you drop this bomb? Your sister is having a full-blown panic attack. Your father had to leave work, all because you couldn't stand not being the center of attention for one day. The irony was so thick I almost choked on it. Mom, when have I ever been the center of attention? She waved her hand dismissively. You're coming with me right now to apologize to your sister and call her landlord. No, I said. I'm not. The simple, flat refusal seemed to stun her more than any argument could have. In her world, I was the one who always folded. Excuse me? I said no. I'm going back inside now. I suggest you leave before Frank here has to get involved. I turned to walk away, but she grabbed my arm. "If you walk away from us now, Chloe, don't you dare expect to be welcome back." I looked down at her hand on my arm, then back up into her eyes. "Is that a threat, Mom? It's a promise. Family sticks together." "Funny," I said, gently pulling my arm away. "I've been the only one sticking this family together, financially, for years." "Where was that promise on my birthday?" She had no answer. I walked back into the building, gave a reassuring nod to Frank, and went back to my desk. My hands were shaking, but my spine was made of steel. The real showdown happened that evening. I had just sat down with my dinner when my doorbell buzzed. I looked through the peephole and saw them, Mia, my mother, and my father, a united front of fury and disappointment. I thought about not answering, but I knew this was inevitable. I opened the door but stood in the entryway, blocking their path. "Yes?" Mia tried to push past me. "You have to fix this. Now the landlord said I have 3 days to pay or I'm out." "Then I guess you should start packing," I replied calmly. My father stepped forward, playing his usual role of the hapless mediator. "Chloe, please. Let us just come in and talk this through." I hesitated, then stepped back. They filed in. Mia immediately collapsed onto my sofa in a storm of dramatic sobs. My mother sat stiffly on the edge of an armchair. My father just stood by the window, looking uncomfortable. "Nice apartment," he said, glancing around. "I don't think I've ever actually been here." "It's been 2 years, Dad," I said. The silence was heavy. Finally, my mother spoke. "Allison, this vendetta has to stop. You've made your point. Now it's time to be the bigger person and help your sister." "This isn't a vendetta," I said. "This is me putting a stop to a toxic dynamic." "By making your sister homeless?" Mia wailed from the couch. "You wouldn't be facing eviction if you'd been honest about your job," I said. "Or if you had used the money I sent you for what it was for, instead of whatever you spent it on." "I had expenses," she cried. "Like what? That designer handbag you posted on Instagram last month? The weekend trip to Miami with Kyle?" My father looked from me to Mia, confused. "Mia, you told me you were still working." Mia shot me a look of pure hatred. "It was complicated, Dad. They cut my hours and then they let me go. But I've been interviewing." "For 3 months?" I asked. "The job market is brutal right now," she snapped, "especially when you get fired for chronic tardiness and poor attitude," I said, pulling up the termination email on my phone. "Should I read it out loud?" My mother jumped in. "Stop it, Chloe. Stop attacking your sister. This is the problem. You've always been jealous of her, always trying to tear her down." "Mom," I said, my voice dangerously quiet, "I paid 40% of Mia's rent for 2 years. I covered her utilities. I sent money for her car, for medical bills, for one emergency after another, all while you and Dad praised her for doing nothing, all while you ignored me, and then threw her a party on the eve of my birthday with money I gave you. We didn't know it was your birthday," my father said weakly. "You forgot your own daughter's birthday?" I asked, looking him right in the eye. He actually looked ashamed. "Things have been chaotic. Things are always chaotic when it comes to me," I said, "but never for Mia." "That's because Mia needs us more," my mother exclaimed. "You've always been so independent, so capable." "Because I had to be," I yelled, my voice finally cracking. "Because no one else was ever going to do it for me." "So this is what this is? Punishment?" Mia sobbed. "You're punishing me because Mom and Dad love me more?" The room fell silent. She'd said it, the quiet part, out loud. "This isn't punishment," I said after a long moment. "This is me choosing myself for the first time. This is me refusing to bankrupt myself for someone who takes and then mocks me for it." "What do you want, Chloe?" my mother demanded. "An apology? Fine. We're sorry we forgot your birthday. We're sorry about the party. But this is a completely disproportionate reaction." "I don't want an apology," I said. "I want things to change. I want Mia to finally take some responsibility for her own life, and I want to be allowed to have my own." "By leaving your sister on the street?" my father asked. Mia has options, I replied. She can get a job, any job. She can get a roommate. She can move back home with Mom. She can find a cheaper apartment. Those all sound awful, Mia wailed. Welcome to being an adult, I said. The life I've been living while you've been playing house on my dime. My mother stood up. This is pointless. Here's what's going to happen. You are going to reinstate the payments, at least until Mia is back on her feet. And in return, we will all make more of an effort to acknowledge you. The condescension dripped from her voice. That was it. No, I said simply. That is not what is going to happen. What is going to happen is this. I am going to continue living my life, free of any financial obligation to Mia. And as it turns out, my life is about to change in a big way. 3 pairs of eyes stared at me. What does that mean? My father asked. I've been offered a senior position at our firm's head office in Denver, I said, dropping the bomb I'd been holding on to for weeks. A major promotion. I've accepted. I'm moving. Denver? My mother repeated, her voice thin. You can't move to Denver. Who will be here to help with things? And that, right there, is my entire point, I said. I'm not a daughter to you. I'm a utility, a resource, a backup plan. Well, the backup plan is closing up shop. You'd really just abandon your family? Mia asked, genuine tears now streaming down her face. After everything we've done for you? The question was so absurd I actually laughed. What exactly has any of you ever done for me, Mia? Name one single thing. Her mouth opened, then closed. She looked at our parents, who had nothing to offer. My father cleared his throat. Chloe, I know you're hurt, and maybe we've overlooked some things, but this is extreme. It's not extreme, I said. It's necessary for my sanity. If you do this, my mother said, her voice ice cold, don't expect our help. Don't expect to be part of this family. I've never had your help, I replied, and I've never really been part of this family. That's the whole problem. The truth of it just hung there in the air. My mother grabbed her purse. Come on, Mia, we'll figure it out, like we always do. Mia stood, mascara smeared down her face. For a split second, I saw something new in her eyes. Not entitlement, not anger, just pure, unadulterated fear. Chloe, she whispered, using a nickname from when we were kids. I can't lose my apartment. Please, I'll do better. I'll get a job tomorrow. I'll pay you back, I swear. I've heard that before, Mia, I said, my voice softening just a little. This time you'll have to show me, with actions, not words. You're really not going to help me. The finality was finally sinking in. I am helping you, I said, just not in the way you're used to. As my mother and Mia stormed out, my father lingered. Chloe, he said quietly, I never realized the extent of it all. No one did, I said. That's how Mia wanted it. He nodded slowly. The party. It was wrong. I should have remembered your birthday. Yes, I said. You should have. Denver, huh? He said after a moment. It's a big move, a necessary one. He looked like he was wrestling with himself. Finally, he just said, I haven't been a very good father to you, have I? That simple, honest question, after all these years, brought a surprising sting of tears to my eyes. No, I said, my voice thick. You haven't. He just nodded, accepting it. I'm sorry for that. I truly am. As he was leaving, he turned back. When do you go? 3 weeks. Maybe we could get lunch before then? Just us? I didn't say yes right away, but I didn't say no. I'll think about it. After they left, I stood in the silence, the adrenaline slowly leaving my body. I had done it. I had stood my ground. My phone buzzed. A text from Mia. I hate you for this. 5 minutes later, another one came through. I don't know how to do this without you. That second text was the most honest thing she'd said to me in years. It was a painful, necessary first step. I didn't reply to either one. Some things you have to figure out on your own. 6 months later, I was standing at the floor-to-ceiling window of my Denver apartment, watching the snow blanket the city. The view still amazed me. It was a daily reminder of how much my world had changed. Those first few weeks were rough. My phone was a constant stream of messages, ranging from guilt-tripping to outright threats. My mother tried to rally the family against me, painting me as the cold-hearted villain. Some of them bought it, but a surprising number of them reached out quietly, saying they understood that they even admired what I did. Mia did face eviction. She didn't end up on the street. At the last minute, she found a roommate and they moved into a tiny, much cheaper apartment across town. According to Jenna, who had become my main source of family news, Mia got a job at a fast food place and was, for the first time in her life, consistently showing up for her shifts. My mother and I barely speak. It's limited to terse holiday texts. She hasn't visited Denver despite my invitation. Too busy taking care of the family who actually cares, was her reply. My father, to my shock, has been trying. We had that lunch. It was awkward, but he admitted he'd always favored Mia. She was just always the squeaky wheel, he'd said. And you always seemed like you had it all together. I think we just took that for granted. It wasn't a perfect excuse, but it was a start. He's visited me in Denver twice, and each time he seems more interested in getting to know the woman I am, not the role I used to play. I found a great therapist here, specializing in family systems. What you did wasn't just for you, she told me last week. You broke a cycle that was hurting everyone, including Mia. That thought has helped quiet the guilt that still sometimes whispers in the back of my mind. My career here has taken off. I love the challenge of my new role, and I've made real friends. People who only know me as Chloe, not as Mia's responsible older sister. My doorbell rang, pulling me from my thoughts. It was Jenna, here for a weekend visit. We'd become closer than ever, finding the sisterhood we'd both been missing. This view is still ridiculous, she said, hugging me. Best thing you ever did moving here. Most days, I agree. I smiled. Any news from the home front? She asked, flopping onto my couch. Dad called. He might come for Christmas this year. And Mia. I paused. She actually emailed me last week. First time she's reached out in months. Jenna's eyebrows shot up. And it was different. No blaming, no asking for anything. She said she's been working full-time for 4 months straight, and she enrolled in an online bookkeeping course. Whoa, actual adulting. Apparently, I agreed. She also said she's been thinking a lot about that night, about how she took advantage of me for years. It wasn't quite an apology, but it's a start, Jenna finished for me. A start, I echoed. Later that night, I finally sat down to reply to Mia's email. I typed, Mia, thank you for the email. I'm glad to hear things are going well for you. The past is the past, but I'm open to seeing what a new, healthier relationship could look like for us down the road. One built on respect, not dependency. Take care, Chloe. It set a boundary but left a door cracked open. It felt right. As I hit send, I realized how much I'd grown. The old Chloe would have lunged at this olive branch, ready to dive right back into the mess. The new Chloe knows that real change takes time and consistency. I've learned that family isn't an obligation. It's a relationship that has to be earned on both sides. And most of all, I've learned that I am worth celebrating, not for what I do for other people, but simply for who I am. My 30th birthday is on the horizon, and I'm already planning a party for myself, surrounded by people who see me and value me. The journey was agonizing, but it was mine. I had to break my own heart to save myself. I had to walk away from everything I'd ever known to find out who I could be. And that is a story worth celebrating. Have you ever had to make a choice that put your own well-being ahead of your family's expectations? I would love to hear your story in the comments below. If this resonated with you, please give this video a like and subscribe for more stories about setting boundaries and finding your own voice. Thank you for listening, and remember, your story matters, even if someone else tries to erase it.